Hi, I'm Mark Mattioli, and welcome back to our third reading of my novel, Boston Accent. Third reading, Chapter 3, titled Pineyville. Halfway through second grade, my mom got married, for real this time, to a co-worker named Ralph. Up to this point, the only father figure I had was my grandfather, who pretty much raised me. My biological father had been out of the picture since before I was born. I had asked my mother about him more and more as I got older, but I was given very little information. The truth is, my mother would get very agitated with my questions and snap at me that he was a bad man, and that's all I need to know. This was enough to discourage me for a while, but inside I was frustrated and angry that she dismissed a subject that was very important to me. My curiosity was not going to just go away, not at the age of 6, 16, or 26. I wanted to know. So now Ralph is in the picture, and I'm okay with this. I really don't know him, as he hasn't spent any time with me. A red flag should have gone up here, but I'm 7. Ralph buys us a brand new home in Pineyville, and the house has something I haven't seen much of: woods. There are acres and acres of woods behind the house and across the street. These woods are to become my best friend over the years. I would hide in these woods when I had done something wrong, but just the same, I would use these woods to give me pleasure. I would build forts in these woods to give myself the personal satisfaction that I can build something on my own and it's mine. As I become older, I learn more pleasure in these woods in the form of a young woman. But right now I'm 7, so we'll save that for later. It's my first day at the new house, and a young girl pulls in the driveway and introduces herself as Dee, who lives 2 doors down. It turns out she is the only kid on my street my age, and we've quickly become friends. I'm happy to have a friend on the street, even if it's a girl. Now I have Monday to worry about and my first day at a new school. I'm in second grade. It's the middle of the school year, and I have to deal with being the new kid. It turns out to be a relatively painless process as I get along with everyone except the teacher. This has been my downfall from day one. It will continue right through high school. I recently found a woman on Facebook that I have had no contact with since high school graduation in 1975. We sat next to each other in second grade briefly. This woman, Lee, tells me in a post on Facebook that she has just read my profile page, and I'm still funny after all these years. She goes on to say that I was always the class clown. I never thought of myself that way. That was always someone else. Someone aggressive with a big mouth, starved for attention, but not funny by any means. Not what I think of as funny. What I realize now is that my constant discipline by my teachers was a form of entertainment for my fellow classmates. The reason I sat next to this woman only briefly in second grade was because my desk was moved to the corner. It was to deter me from talking to my classmates, but I was supposed to be listening. I would bring home report cards with comments like, "much too social." I think I was bored. Now, just so you fully understand the placement of my desk in the corner, it was placed kitty corner facing the wall. I was as far away from other students as possible without putting me out in the hall. That would come later. When I protested that I could not see the board with my back to it, I was told, "This will teach you to listen." I had just started fresh at a new school, and I was already labeled a problem. I remember this one incident in second grade where I made the mistake of bringing this snow globe to school for show and tell. I take the globe out at recess, and I set it down somewhere while I play on the monkey bars. And next thing I know, some kid picks it up and sails it through the air. It hits the pavement and smashes into a million pieces. I run over to see if I could salvage something, and there's a tiny plastic red ball that isn't intact, and I grab it. Recess ends, and I head back to my seat, which has been temporarily turned around to face the chalkboard. I have my tiny plastic red ball, and I'm playing with it at my desk. I start rolling it on my arm and then on my face. I like the way it feels on my skin. I start rolling it on my nose, and then for reasons I can't explain, I shove it up my nose. I shove it up my nose, and it fits tight. It's completely up my nose, and every attempt to retrieve it pushes it in deeper. I begin to panic, and I place a finger over the empty nostril and blow as hard as I can. The ball shoots out of my nose like it's been shot out of a BB gun. It flies through the air, hits the floor, and rolls right up to my teacher's feet. My desk goes back in the corner. Back on the home front, I quickly learned that Ralph has no intention of doing father-son activities with me. No catch with a baseball, no attending sports events, no board games, and no interaction, period. The only time he addresses me is in the form of a reprimand. Our only physical activity together was a fist fight when I was 16. Even with all my discipline issues at school, I managed to advance to the 3rd grade. I'm barely getting by with my grades, and now I share a classroom with a kid I just cannot get along with. We'll be enemies from the day we meet through our adult years. He's the tallest kid in the class, and as an adult he will stand 6'6". His name is Robbie Ridge, and he is a bully, plain and simple. One day in school, while the teacher was out in the hall, Robbie shoved me from behind. I was off balance, and I hit the floor. I got up fuming and went right after him, but he stepped behind the girl and used her for a shield. I lost my cool and shoved the girl, hoping she would fall into him and knock him down. Instead, Robbie jumped up from behind her, and she caught the full force of my blow. She fell and hit her head on the radiator, and blood started gushing out of her head. When she saw the blood, she started screaming, and the teacher ran back into the room. Luckily, it was only a scalp wound, and she only needed a stitch or two. When the teacher asked what happened, the girl pointed at Robbie. Robbie didn't have many friends, and the girl liked me. Robbie began jumping up and down, calling the girl a liar, and pointing at me as the guilty party. The teacher decides we're both to blame and calls our parents in for a conference. Our parents would come to know each other on a first-name basis and would commonly address each other over a conference table. Before the year is out, Robbie breaks his arm on the monkey bars. The fact that I pulled his legs while he was crossing might have had something to do with it. It earned me another parent-teacher conference. Robbie comes back to school with a cast looking for revenge. He corners me up against the building at recess and starts swinging his cast at my head. I was scared shit, ducking his blows. With my eyes closed, I swung as hard as I could. My punch landed square in his nose, which exploded in a geyser of red. Robbie was so startled by the blow and the blood that he ran right to the school nurse in a panic, crying that I was in big trouble this time. It cost me another parent-teacher conference, but it was worth it. We're going to stop there for now. We're a little ways to go in Chapter 3. And we'll finish off Chapter 3 and start Chapter 4. I'll give you a heads up, Chapter 4, it's a beauty. But that's it for now. I hope you liked the book up to this point. Feel free to leave me some feedback, and I'll see you real soon. My name is Mark Mattioli. Ciao.